there's a new map structure on the map. So these are barracks, and they are occupied by dwarves. They don't belong to any player, so they are neutral. We even have barracks where we're starting, and these are occupied by humans, and they're ours. So let's pay the dwarves a visit. 2, 3, 4 out of action points, and now we can talk to them. So diplomacy doesn't really feature in Heroes games. Typically you would either take what you come across, or you would have to fight someone for it. You wouldn't usually talk to them about it. So I wanted to add diplomacy in this game, but not in the Civ style where you negotiate treaties and tribute and stuff like that. Something that's a bit more personal, so more quest-like. So there are 3 options here. We can offer an alliance, we can attack and basically capture the place, which is the typical Heroes approach, or we can leave and then nothing changes except that we lose an action point for no reason. There's no memory currently to the conversations, so whatever happens, the dwarves won't mind if you talk to them again and say the same things. They won't know about it. So say that we offer an alliance. What they are doing here, so they could either accept or decline, or they could accept conditionally. So in this case, they're basically giving us a quest. They're asking us to help them deal with the winters here. So essentially this is a very cold region with ice and snow, so they need some help with the cold, and they're asking us to help them, and only then will they actually consider joining us. Now this army doesn't really have anything that it can offer to help on the spot, so it's just 4 humans led by another human, so they have no means to help the dwarves with the cold. So they have no way of completing the quest on the spot. They can either accept the quest and then come back later once they've actually found something they can help, or they can kind of offer a neutral response, or they can just decline. There's no sort of further options available. But now let's say that we give the army something that they can use. So let's say that we, instead of using this army, which is just has a 1 human stack, let's say that we use a different army which has humans and arcs in it. Now arcs are units made of lightning, which can be used to help the dwarves with the cold. So if we restart the game and talk to them again, well, notice that now we have 2 arcs in the army, so we have 2 stacks now, human and arc, whereas in the past we only had 1 stack. So we go and visit the dwarves again, and let's say that we offer an alliance now. Now there's a new option available to us. So I say, okay, we could give them lightning, so since arcs are made of lightning, we could give them lightning as a way of completing the quest. And if we do that, then they're happy and they agree to join us. Now I haven't yet implemented the consequences of this interaction. So we still have 2 arcs, even though we gave 1 to the dwarves. The barracks are still not ours. So I still need to complete that part, but I wanted to just briefly introduce the chat system that I've added, because there's quite a lot to it, and I didn't want to sort of have one giant sort of session describing the details. I'm actually just going to look at the highlights of that. So the chat system is built around statements, and there's a statement and there's a statement template. So statement has text that it shows on the screen, and so does a statement template. So I'll show the difference just now. But a statement template is kind of the heart of it. And in here we have things like, well, we know which conversation it's a part of, who made the statement. So the statement could be made by either a player or some neutral creature or neutral army or structure. It might follow from some other statements that have to be made first. For for this one to make sense, there could be other prerequisites. Like in this case, we needed for the quest, we needed the region to be cold. We wouldn't have that quest if the barracks were next to the river of lava, for example. There's also an outcome. So that's something I haven't implemented yet. I still need to get to. Now, the difference between the statement text and the statement template text. So the statement template, if you look at something like an alliance, that's that conversation. This is how it's introduced. So I bring word from, and then we don't really know who the player is at the time when writing these statements. That information is only available while the game is played. So we use variables to basically fill in those blanks, and then those variables are then replaced with actual values when the chat is actually run during the game. So this statement then on the screen, let me just close that and do it again. On the screen in actual game, it looks like I bring word from Groovy and so on, rather than player in brackets. So that's one part. And then the second thing that I think is quite interesting and powerful is that there's a distinction between the standard statements that are made in the chat and quests. So quests are written separately, and they are injected into the conversation at the appropriate places, like here. So the outcome of the statement is potentially a quest. So the neutral creatures could either accept or decline, or they could offer a quest. So it's given as an option, and then there are certain conditions to be met by each quest to see if it's actually viable in that setting. Currently, there's only one quest which is viable where those barracks are. But basically, so the chat engine essentially looks through the quests that are available and filters out the ones that actually don't make sense to use, and all what's left, it chooses one, and then conversation sort of continues with the quest dialogue. And the idea is that this would be made available to potentially let some map makers, where as a part of designing a map you could also add some quests which would then be injected into the game. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I've got so far when it comes to chats.